Uh, Welcome everyone to the What's New and What's Next presentation for Red Hat AI. This is the um, Q1 edition, Q1 2025, just to be clear. Uh, um, with me, I have, first of all, in the way of introduction, I'm Tushar Katarki. I'm on the Red Hat AI product management team. With me, I have the rest of the Red Hat AI product management team, and we'll take you through what's new, both in RHEL AI and OpenShift AI, as well as what's the roadmap and what you can expect for the rest of 2025 and potentially even a little bit further down. We're going to do this quarterly, as I said before, first half of each quarter. So. And then, anything we say here, especially the roadmap slides, are subject to change. So just be aware for those who are forward-looking. We all have used generative AI in various ways in our daily lives, almost daily. And the power of generative AI to unleash productivity and efficiency across many organizations, industries, departments, to me is obvious, and self-evident. The AI market opportunity is even bigger than ever before, right? This is the data from IDC Futurescape projects, where they show generative AI spending will grow nearly 60% annually over the next 5 years. And it far exceeds any other IT category spending. So I think this is a fantastic. I mean, even if the numbers are approximately right, it's still a big number, right? So what we see when we talk to customers, and in general, what we have learned, which really kind of informs our strategy, our approach to AI with Red Hat AI, really is, three things. One is every customer we talk to is at least at some stage of evaluation of AI, with a growing number of them moving from pilots to POCs to production, right? So what does Red Hat bring to the table? And how are we helping customers to address some of the key challenges impacting their AI initiatives? The first one is model cost. We see customers struggling with a cost of running large proprietary generative AI models and model services, especially as they bring more and more use cases as they go through this from pilot to POC to production and to scale. This was a driver of the work we have been doing with IBM Research around open source grant models, and the work we are doing with Neural Magic around model optimization, and we'll have more to say about Neural Magic. Alignment complexity is the second one, which is regardless of the model that you choose, the models are probably trained with not your enterprise data, so they don't know about your enterprise, as in the customer's enterprise data. So the customers are struggling with the complexity of aligning these models to their enterprise data and use cases. Most are using techniques such as RAG, which is very common with GPT-4, and maintaining those data sets outside the model. We believe that there's a role for this tuning as a complement to RAG to infuse some of these data sets using this tuning technique that we talked about with InstructLab into the model itself. Finally, the deployment complexity itself and the flexibility that we are going to offer. As a number of use cases increase, customers are also realizing that they need flexibility to deploy these models wherever they need them, right? Like wherever their data is, wherever their customers might be, etc. So they can't be constrained in a single cloud, or they can't be constrained to a single premise or a type of server or what have you. Indeed, especially with Edge, there'll be increasing need for this to be even available at the edge. Much like we have seen it with cloud native applications over the past decade, this is also driving the demand for hybrid AI platform. So ultimately, customers need more cost-efficient models aligned to the use cases that they care about, using the data sets that are private to them, and with the ability to make them available everywhere. So Red Hat AI is Red Hat's platform for AI. Our Red Hat AI platform helps customers address these challenges by spanning both generative AI and predictive AI use cases. RHEL AI provides a generative AI foundation platform built on RHEL that enables model tuning and inference serving, whereas OpenShift AI provides a hybrid platform built on OpenShift that enables model training, tuning, serving, and MLOps capabilities for generative AI and predictive AI use cases. As we think about 2025 and beyond, here are some of the areas of focus, exciting areas that we will anchor our product roadmap for Red Hat AI, and you'll see that in the rest of the presentations. These are based on customer inputs, market trends, and also a Red Hat strategy and approach. We will be starting with the models themselves. We'll be investing in models and bringing to our customers a variety of models to meet their use cases, including multimodality, including third-party models, including optimization and compression. You'll hear a little more about that a little later. The ability to customize, as I said, and align to the enterprise use cases is important for our customers, and we'll continue to invest in technologies such as InstructLab so that it not only improves what it does today, but also goes broader and can address more use cases. Once customized, the models are customized using InstructLab or otherwise. The models, it is super important for our customers to evaluate these models and see if they are meeting their expectations. So we'll be investing in technologies that will help with AI evaluation. 2025 is set to be the year of AI agents, and that's not a secret to anybody, hopefully. You will see us bringing more capabilities. Think about models, grant models. It has tool calling capabilities, but also third-party models have them. Some amount of reasoning and improving accuracy with quote-unquote test time scaling or inference scaling, as the word goes, and tooling that enables customers to build these agentic systems. While we incorporate these great things, safety is really important for our customers. So there is some built-in safety when it comes to grant models and the InstructLab pipeline today. But what customers really would want is to customize this. So you will see Jeff talking about guardrails and so on and so forth in a bit. So security and governance is really one of the focus areas for this year. Hybrid cloud has been, as I said, been a strategic anchor for Red Hat for more than a decade now. As it applies to Red Hat AI, we'll continue to make it available across more hardware accelerators, including bringing all the latest innovations and chips from NVIDIA and AMD, et cetera, and the likes, across more clouds and hardware and OEM servers, diversifying further. For example, I know a few of you have reached out to me and been excited about Red Hat AI for NVIDIA Digits, the supercomputer. So that's something that we are looking at. I'm not making any promises. I'm just saying those are the kinds of diversification I'm talking about. Open source in AI has democratized AI, and I think we all agree. And obviously at Red Hat, we feel proud about that. This has also unleashed access to AI innovation to everyone. Last year, we proved that by working with IBM Research to open source Granite and InstructLab, and introduced a community-driven approach to customizing models with public data. So we'll continue to double down. Early January, Neural Magic became part of Red Hat. Neural Magic is an open source leader in VLLM, model inferencing, compression, and optimization. It's now part of our family. And to talk a little more about that, I'm going to hand it over to Rob Greenberg. Rob, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Tushar. As Tushar mentioned, I'm Rob Greenberg from the Neural Magic product team. And I'm really excited to share what we've been working on in Neural Magic and our focus around VLLM and LLM optimization. So first off, VLLM, for those of you who don't know, VLLM is one of the leading open source inference servers, known for features like page detention and continuous batching that really allow for high throughput and memory efficient LLM inference. So VLLM offers support for a wide array of model families such as Llama, Qwen, Mistral, DeepSeek, and of course Granite. And that enables those models to run on your hardware of choice, from NVIDIA, AMD GPUs through Intel Gaudi, and more recently, as of the last release, Google TPUs as well. So to enable the best possible inference and ease of use for VLM, the Neural Magic team has also been focused on delivering pre-optimized models to enable this more efficient inference from a cost performance perspective, in addition to kernel level optimizations at the VLLM inference server level. And lastly, to enable third-party optimization, Neural Magic also maintains LLM Compressor, which is the de facto open source LLM optimization toolkit to enable ML engineers to compress LLMs for optimized models with VLLM. Next slide. Great. So we also bring our pre-optimized model repository over, which includes our maintained pre-optimized, mostly quantized models from many of the leading research labs, kind of like we mentioned, and these are all ready to go out of the box to be deployed on VLLM. This enables customers to really quickly deploy these optimized models within these different model families to really enable them to get started with building their own applications and leveraging the latest in LLMs. So this is something we'll be integrating into the Red Hat AI portfolio as well to help customers get started and really hit the ground really quick without having to worry about the optimization step themselves. That's a little bit about Neural Magic. Happy to hand it off to Jeff.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Rob. So one of the focus areas for this year, as Tushar mentioned, is to provide great end-to-end user experiences for Gen AI workflows. If you look at enterprise Gen AI use cases, we see that many organizations are looking to customize base models to align them to their use cases and data. This diagram shows a Gen AI flow that includes customizing a base model. Now, within this flow, we want to be flexible to accommodate different models and different model customization approaches. So if you go through the flow, starting at the top left, a user could go into our UI under the new model catalog, access a Granite model, and then directly from the UI, initiate a tuning flow. Could be InstructLab tuning. So you go through an end-to-end InstructLab tuning flow. And then at the end of that, the fine-tuned model could then be stored back into the model registry. From within the model registry UI, users could initiate the deployment of that model using VLLM. And then the endpoint would be available for that model for incorporation into an application. And then we would provide model monitoring from there once it's been deployed. So again, we're looking to provide kind of packaged experiences for this end-to-end flow. Okay, next. So as Tushar mentioned, supporting agentic workflows in our AI platforms is also a focus area for this year. I'm sure many of you already know about agentic workflows, but at a high level, agentic AI refers to a system that can perform tasks or make decisions on its own. And in this way, it's different from some other forms of AI that may just either create new content based on inputs or make predictions based on historical data. A self-driving car is an example of agentic AI. Now, agentic AI can bring together the versatility of LLMs with the precision and control of traditional programming. So for example, in this diagram, Granite models or other third-party LLMs could be used for reasoning in step one. And that could be combined with other actions such as code in step 2 or SQL queries in step 3 to complete an overall task. It could also potentially combine Gen AI models and predictive AI models depending on the task. Okay, next. Another focus area for this year is guardrails for Gen AI applications. Guardrails are important for enterprise customers because they want to be confident that deploying Gen AI applications won't produce outputs that aren't aligned with their brand values. For this feature, we'll provide an overall orchestrator framework that can combine input and output detectors with a Gen AI model. We'll look to provide Granite Guardian models, but we'll also support a bring your own detector model framework like we do in other areas of the product. The customizable detectors will allow customers to tailor the AI model behavior to meet their specific needs, including filtering out PII info, hateful, abusive, or profane speech, competitive filtering. For example, they might not want the solution talking about competitor products, or maybe even domain-specific constraints. So, for example, they might want to limit the application to only be able to produce outputs in specific domains based on performance or use case. The solution will be able to dynamically apply guardrails on a per-request basis and support role-specific detection for different user groups depending on the use case. So, for example, like customers, salespeople, or mechanics, again, depending on the use case. Okay, next slide. So a final focus area that we want to highlight here is enhancing our support for third-party models by adding a validation program. Today, customers can bring their own models to RHEL AI and OpenShift AI. And with support for open source tools like PyTorch and FSDP for tuning and VLLM for inferencing, many third-party models work just fine on our platforms. And in fact, in OpenShift AI, we specifically test several third-party models like Llama for tuning and inference as part of providing input to Watson X AI. However, we don't provide any documentation on this, so users in reality are really forced or required to self-test and validate. And we don't provide model IP indemnification like we do for the supported Granite models. So to improve this experience and look to expand the ecosystem, we're going to look to create a third-party model validation or certification program to help users know which models we've tested and which ones work on our platforms. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to William.
Okay, so next slide. So we continue working on...
Real quick, William, for those in the rooms, just introduce yourselves because it's very hard to tell who is speaking. So just as a quick reminder, sorry.
Thank you. William Caban, one of the product managers for RHEL AI. Okay, so as part of this continued mission that we have with RHEL AI of making fine-tuning of models accessible to everyone, so what we have been doing, so in the 1.3 release, that's the first time we adopted the new 3.0 architecture from Granite. That architecture actually brought a lot of additional capabilities, enterprise capabilities for the models. And what you will see is that, for example, now on 1.4, that same type of model can be extended, and now it supports, for example, the longer context window, the 128K. It does support, yes, the multilingual capabilities. It has 12 languages. So all of them are there. Now, as the dev preview, you'll see that, yeah, we are bringing the multilingual training, the user interface for the SME, for the subject matter expert, and the ability to start creating those RAG artifacts. Again, the idea is for us to be able to accelerate the experience where the user can see on a POC rapidly, can see, start seeing value. So that's the main idea there. Next slide, yes. With 1.5 and later, what you will see is that we will continue the multilingual. We will be bringing now more advanced RAG capabilities. And you'll see that throughout the years, we're going to evolve that to agentic RAG, the full agentic RAG. Annotations capabilities that Aditi will cover later. We are bringing an API, a Python SDK API. So the idea is that there's a lot of power on InstructLab. And we have a flow that we expose through the CLI. But for the data scientists, for the researcher, or for these experts that exist on the organizations, they really need and want to go behind the scenes. So this will provide that interface for organizations to start literally injecting their own custom flows even there. Next slide. So 1.4, we're bringing the 3.1. And as you see, the multilingual and the large context windows is kind of the two very high distinguished attributes of this model, as well as the performance when compared to the other models of similar size. Okay. Next slide. With the Granite family, it will not stop there. So very, very soon, you will see additional improvement on the, actually on the instruct models that, even on the base model that we have, additional enhancement on the code generation capabilities. But we are also in the queue, we have the vision models are going to be coming very soon. That will allow for image recognition, classification, scenes detection, object detection. So that's coming very soon. Audio models, sometime probably at the end of this year, more for speech to text or audio classification type of use cases. And all this will evolve towards a multimodal model that will be able to handle multiple of these capabilities in a single model at the end. Okay, next slide. Today, we want to announce a developer preview of native multilingual fine-tuning for English, Spanish, French, Italian, and German. So yes, bring your document in one of those, or actually in any of those, or in a mix of those languages. Write your Q&A file in that native language, and just fine-tune. And the beauty of it is that since Granite is multilingual, what we have seen is that when you fine-tune, let's say on German, you can ask for the same knowledge in German or English, and the model will just reply. So just make sure you tell the model in which language you want it to reply, otherwise it will just choose one. Okay, next. So please, actually, test that out and give us feedback. The other part is the developer preview of our SME, or subject matter expert UI. This is to really, really help accelerate that initial part of, I'm bringing my document. I need to understand how to select parts of that document and create that Q&A YAML file. We know that has been a tedious process. So the first iteration of this, you will see that, yeah, you can select the dark versus light thing, but the beauty of it is upload, for example, your PDF or your Markdown, or you can actually see that this interface support more than we do on the CLI, because you can even bring PPTX, you can bring others, okay? So, and what you will see is that it will render the Markdown version of it as a text that you can go and select. And you say, hey, yeah, this is my context. And from there, once you select that, you go and create your 3 Q&As for that. And you do that for 5 sections of your document. And you have, at the end, a Q&A YAML file that you can download Or what you will see as experimental features already there is that if this is running on RHEL AI, from there you can click and start doing the SDG. And from that, you can click and go into and start running the training mode. This evolution, I mean, this UI will evolve really, really rapidly. So it will not be tied to necessarily the releases of RHEL AI, because it's their preview. So that means you will probably see new releases available on weekly basis or bi-weekly basis. So it's not tied. It will work from any release from now on. Okay. Next.
That's me. So in our very first release, we had the knowledge-only workflow, which enabled our end users to fine-tune on top of their knowledge documents. In RHEL AI 1.3, we released knowledge and skills workflow. And in the upcoming 1.4 release, we are also supporting a cleaner workflow for skills-only use case. So let's take an example of how this can be useful for an organization. Let's say we have customer support organization that's trying to drive efficiency for tech support agents. With the knowledge-only use case, they could enable a model to learn the org's policies, product manuals, FAQs, etc. With knowledge and skills, they could not just fine-tune on the case documents and the policy documents. They could go as further as doing case summarization and following a very structured output to do case summarization, which is essentially a skill. But let's say an organization is reluctant to put AI in front of the customer and they don't want to just spin up a bot yet in front of the customer. They just want to do the case summarization use case for more complicated support cases. Then they can just expose the skill use case, which is the case summarization use case. So we have now a cleaner path to support more skills only use case. And we believe that as this space evolves, we are going to see a lot more skills use cases in future. Next slide. For synthetic data generation, we have been working on redesigning the framework to build an architecture that gives more flexibility to our end users. Up until now, we just had default pipelines where there were default blocks within each pipeline. But now we are giving users an ability to go as deep as defining a custom block, as well as writing some custom pipelines. And all this can be enabled just with the YAML-based workflows. This is also going to unlock some of our internal customers at Red Hat who have been trying out these use cases, and they want more knobs to play around with SDG. With the exposition of these pipeline parameters, they'll be able to set parameters like the number of skills that they want to generate and the pipeline settings that they want to enable. Next slide. As we move forward, we are evaluating a lot of our design decisions. We have the RAG workflow. We are moving to Agentic RAG. We want to standardize our data ingestion and pre-processing for both SDG and RAG. Currently, both are using different chunking strategies, but we are trying to migrate to a common chunking strategy and eventually combine pre-processing for both the SDG as well as RAG. And to enable that, can we go to the next slide? SDG team is moving to hybrid chunking, which is an enhancement on top of the hierarchical chunking, which has been released by Dockling. With the adoption of hybrid chunking, we have twofold benefits. A, we have a common strategy for ingestion and pre-processing. And second, we are trying to move in the direction of dataset in, dataset out for SDG. So we have pre-processing and post-processing being handled separately, essentially, and the user can just bring in a dataset and do synthetic data generation for it. We're going to have more and more in this space. Essentially, William talked about the SDK API. We're going to have controls exposed through that as well. A lot of that will come later in future. Next slide. In the post-processing of SDG, we are doing a depth review of a feature called as data mixing. So if user wants to mix the data set across several SDG runs, they can now have a mixing recipe. For example, on the left, in this example, we have data set 1, and we can take 100% of data set 1, 200% of data set 2, and just 50% of data set 3. So user will have more control in how they want to expose their data set settings and the models that they want to train on. And in our upcoming releases, we are working on subset selection, which is essentially a new capability built by the Red Hat AI innovation team. Subset selection, it tries to meaningfully find a small data set that is representative of the original data set. What it does for the users is reduces data redundancy within the data and supports efficient training, while also retaining any without any significant loss of information, essentially, because we use sophisticated algorithms in the background to do this mapping into a smaller subset. Moving on to the next slide. Within SDG, in our upcoming releases, a very powerful capability that we are going to expose is annotation. So with annotation, we're going to extend SDG to do more than just generate. With this capability, the users will be able to bring in their own data set and classify that custom data set. Let's take an example of a banking organization which receives influx of customer queries on a daily basis. Most of these queries are going to be around some common issues like account issues or payments and transfers, loans and mortgage, fraudulent issues. And they might not be interested in actually generating more data. They have already a huge data set to work with. They might just be interested in annotating those customer conversations. And with SDG, we're going to enable that. How this will work, the user just brings in their data set, the labels that they want to use for annotation, and some task descriptions for the language model to do annotation. And then further with that annotated data set, they can train the model to answer some specific kind of queries that they see on a daily basis and put that into a production, into their production systems. And we have had one large network provider who has been interested in this use case, and we have built a prototype with them in this regard. Moving on, I would like to pass it on to Jailam for some of the CLI demos.
Yes, thank you, Aditi. Hi everyone, Jill on this side. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's new with the CLI experience and what's coming up soon. So we now have process management for the SDG library, specifically in RHEL AI. It's only available for SDG today because it's in dev preview. What background process management essentially does is that it frees up your terminal and allows you to run this process in the background. To enable this, there's a new flag, which is detach or DT that you can see, which basically detaches the process from the terminal itself. Each process now gets a unique ID that is returned to the user, and SDG is kicked off as its own process, as a child process in the background. There's also a log file generated, so you can go look at the results, and the location is also provided. So basically, you can focus on another task. You don't have to remain attached to your terminal all the time. You can also even kick off another SDG run if you're motivated like that. On the next slide, so we can see how you can check in on the status of your detached or your child processes. And for that, we have a new command, which is ILAB process list. This will return the status and a list of each of the child processes. So sorry, you have to put up with my terminal here, but so you can see them listed here. You can see the type of the process. So it's only generation today. There will be more coming in the future. You can see the unique ID that was generated, the location of the log file, and the status of the process as well. So you can check in on the processes without having to attach them. And then if you have to attach them, you do either process attach, you add either the unique ID that was returned to you earlier, or you use the latest flag if you just want to check in on the latest process. And you can see that SDG will then again be kicked off, or it will pick up where it was left off. It continues in the terminal. And with future releases, we are also looking to support more and more libraries, especially functions like training that do take a longer time. So that frees up your terminal even more. On the next slide, we can talk a little bit about model uploads. So with 1.4, we also are providing the ability to upload and share your fine-tuned models that you have customized on your own data and push them to Hugging Face and S3 buckets, opening up avenues for more collaboration with your team so you can build these models and your team can start plugging them into useful applications. The support to convert the fine-tuned model into an OCI artifact and be pushed to the OpenShift AI model registry will also be coming up in future releases. And on the next slide, we have a small quick demo to show you how this works. There's a new command, which is ILab model upload, that effectively does this. As you can see, my fine-tuned model is already ready. So you just have to specify the destination type, which is Hugging Face here. For me, you have to specify the model name and the location. And in my case, I also had to add my Hugging Face token that gave me right permissions to the folder. And then you can see once the typing is done, you can see that the model will be uploaded to Hugging Face as well. Sorry, this is taking really long. I had to pull several different things from different pieces. But yes. Okay. And I think we can go to the next slide, yeah, because this shows that the model was pushed to Hugging Face here on the folder. Please ignore my username. I did not know I would be putting it on blast like this. But yes, you can see that it now exists. So you can download it and you can share it with your team members. On the next slide, thank you. For the 1.4 release of Podman, there are expanded capabilities to get started with AI with Podman AI Lab. So app developers can now interact with Podman AI Lab very programmatically using the API server that they have created. They can use it to pull models to work with locally and more. They can also, the Podman team is also continuing to work extensively on GPU acceleration for MacBooks, and they now have inference support for the Granite 3.1 models as well. And for future releases of Podman AI Lab, there you will continue to see more integration with RHEL AI and OpenShift AI, so Red Hat AI. You'll be able to try the workflow of InstructLab itself from an InstructLab container. From AI Lab, you'll be able to leverage the InstructLab service running on IBM Cloud, as well as start connecting to OpenShift AI to leverage the model catalog and to bridge to some of the models running on OpenShift AI. And I will hand it off to Erwin, who will talk a little bit about accelerators now.
Hello. So I'm Erwan Galen, the product manager following the AI accelerators. I'm excited to share the updates on the Red Hat AI roadmap, focusing on the cloud marketplace on the AI accelerators. So here you see first on cloud. So for AWS, so we have started RHEL AI with bring your own image at the beginning. For AWS, it was only raw. So we have introduced with RHEL AI 1.3 the AMA images, so providing easy deployment without the requirements to create volumes make the user experience easier. We have also introduced, after the support of on the launch of AWS Marketplace for the accelerated computing instances. So Sam, with AMI, you reduce the steps, but with Marketplace, you can limit to quite one click. So easy user experience if you want to test RHEL AI on AWS. Also for Azure, we have extended the support with new instances for bring your own image. So introducing the NDMI 300X. So NDMI 300X is AMD GPU, quite beefy virtual machines with 96 vCPU, 1.8 terabyte of RAM, on 1.5 terabyte of VRAM. So really powerful. So plenty of resources for RHEL AI bring your own image. And also with Azure, we have launched the marketplace. So here you can see the marketplace. So you can choose the number of GPUs on start after with just a selection of instance. So easy user experience. Next slide, please. So now moving to AI accelerators. So in the first release of RHEL AI, we were supporting NVIDIA GPUs. So in RHEL AI 1.2, we have introduced a tech preview for inference only for AMD GPUs. So supporting the MI210 64 gig of VRAM on the MI300X 192 gig of VRAM. We have also collaborated with Intel to provide the support in tech preview also on inference only for Gaudi 3. So Gaudi 3 are coming 8 ways, also big machines with 128 gig of unified memory per accelerators. And after this accelerator currently supported in our roadmap, we plan in Q1 to support AMD GPU as GA, and also to introduce NVIDIA Grace Hopper. So if you look at the roadmap, public roadmap of NVIDIA, you can see a lot of new products coming with a Grace CPU or a mix of a CPU plus a GPU. So the Grace Hopper and Grace Blackwell, and we have started this enablement for RHEL AI, introducing the support of ARM, and also providing a very interesting design with the access to the CPU memory and also dedicated GPU memory. And so it's why we are opening the platform to Grace, on starting with Grace Hopper, planning Q1. In Q2, we are continuing on Grace Hopper, also working to extend also the support for the end-to-end, and also introducing a new support with IBM accelerator, so the Spire AIU. So this accelerator can be purchased with IBM research projects. So it's something we have collaborated with IBM. You can already find in the OpenShift an operator, and now we'll provide in Q2 for inference only the Spire AIU. And in the future, we are working on additional accelerators. So with AWS, with Inferentia, Inf2, and Trainium, TRN1, we are discussing of VLLM already supporting this accelerator. So the integration here is ready at these layers. We have also and we are working with AWS more on the drivers, also all the lifecycle alignment with our products. Also working on a Qualcomm AI 100 Ultra. So this one will be dedicated on the inference, will not provide any fine-tuning, and also extending the work on NVIDIA Grace Hopper and providing to the generation Grace Blackwell.
With that, I'll hand it over to Jeff to talk about what's new and what's next in RHOAI.
Okay, thanks, Tushar. I think we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is an overview of the most recent OpenShift AI releases. We're following a monthly release cadence, and 2.15 went out in mid-November, 2.16 was released in mid-December. Every third release is a stable release that has longer support than the other releases. 2.16 was a stable release. In the next few slides, we're going to give an overview of some of these features, so I'm not going to get into the detail here, but I think to start out, I'm going to pass it over to Miriam.
Thank you so much. Hi, guys. I'm Miriam Fontanes. So basically, we have now distributed InstructLab in Red Hat OpenShift AI. And what we wanted to do was to provide a scalable and easy-to-consume fine-tuning capabilities using the InstructLab methodology. So by bringing this feature into Red Hat OpenShift AI, we want to show our customers the advantages of using a multi-node environment by maybe reducing the training time or enhancing the performance of the overall process. Because we are using data science pipelines, this will also enable us to integrate this tuning experience with the overall streamlined automated MLOps flow, so we can have a more cohesive and seamless experience by leveraging in the future components like model registry or all of the experimental data science pipelines. And that's all. Thank you.
Cool. Hey, everybody. I'm Christoph, again, product manager of Red Hat OpenShift AI. I'm talking here about distributed workloads and trusty AI-related things. And as we heard it before from Jeff and Tushar, guardrailing, evaluation of our models, helping our customers to really implement a responsible AI practice in their organization is a focus area for us in this year. So with the past releases, we have the bias and fairness monitoring capabilities. So we are really targeting predictive machine learning models here, coming up with the new features in the next releases to also guardrail large language models. This has been a first step to really help our customers. If we're going to head over to the next slide, I'm going to let you know what we are doing on the lower levels by providing frameworks, providing base images with machine learning frameworks for our data scientist community. So you see that we have Kubeflow training operator base images, which are NVIDIA and AMD enabled, so accelerator enabled. These are base images that will be reused, for example, for the distributed InstructLab training workflows that will be reused by our customers to put their frameworks on top of our base images. So tested and verified. So we know that the Kubeflow training operator, PyTorch, RHEL images work with NVIDIA and CUDA. The next iteration will be supported images for these frameworks. Later on the roadmap slide, you're going to see that again. That's it from my side. I think Zia is up next, right?
Yes, thank you, Christoph. Hi, I'm Kazia, one of the PMs for RHOAI, and I'll be talking about the code server workbench image that's gone GA. So target users is going to be data scientists and developers, and this is just going to allow our users to personalize their environment by adding extensions from the code extension marketplace that code server utilizes, debugging tools, coding languages to support various use cases. With GA comes updated documentation that will highlight the Git capabilities that enables users to share their code with others and import code from external sources. And the newly enhanced image provides users with a more seamless code editor experience, enabling data scientists to do data analysis, execution, and collaboration. And then I have the documentation listed on this slide as well. And I believe the next one is going to be Adam. Next slide.
It is. Hello, everybody. Adam Belushi, another product manager on OpenShift AI, model servers, runtimes, and model registry. First feature I'd like to bring to your attention is the ability to customize serving parameters in the OpenShift AI user interface. Before, this had to be edited in the YAML, and you had to run a custom runtime. For all of those folks out there that have done this, this is a huge quality of life improvement for folks. Runtimes like VLLM, they have dozens, if not more, parameters. Some models will not work with some parameters on or off. So I hope this pleases both the field and our customers. Next slide, please. All right, model cars. So model cars is a tech preview feature for us right now. And what is a model car? Well, a model car is simply a containerized model, right? Is what we're looking at. So you'll be able to store these model cars in an OCI compliant registry. We have some future releases of the OpenShift AI model registry, and we're going to have OCI compliant storage story attached to that as well. So you'll be able to store it in something like Artifactory or Quay, and you'll be able to pull those models directly from that OCI registry. You're going to have some lower disk space usage. You're going to be able to pull those images faster than you necessarily would from another place is the hope. But I think the key here is using model cars, we're going to get closer to immutable containers, right? Signed attested containers that can then be, you can use as governance for your deployed workloads. This is a key ask that I'm hearing all the time when I'm at EBCs and talking with clients, especially in regulated sectors like finance. Next slide, please. And last feature I want to bring everyone's attention to is the multi-node, multi-GPU deployment. So this is a feature that can be, typically it was going to be used for very large models like Llama 405B. You want to run that, and you're going to need to spread it out over multiple nodes and multiple GPUs across that node. So that's what that's the main use case here. You could also use this for smaller models than the 405B model, but maybe you're not running H100s or A100s. Performance, of course, is going to be somewhat, is going to take somewhat of a hit there, right? And that's something that the customer would need to play with, and we need to understand. I think that's it. Over to Jess.
Okay, quick overview of the enhanced connections feature that was released in 2.16. At a high level, this feature makes it easier for data scientists to access data sources for model development and MLOps engineers to access models for model deployment. There's an admin config component in the settings menu that allows admins to configure custom connection types to data sources like databases. Admins can also configure which connection types to make available to users. And then as part of this feature, we added a new out-of-the-box connection type for URI connections, in addition to the existing type for S3 compatible storage. Users can then create connections based on these admin-defined types in areas like workbenches and model serving. So overall benefits are that the feature simplifies data access for model development and enables easier access to models from repositories like Hugging Face for model deployment. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Erwan.
Yeah, so we're seeing the AI accelerator roadmap for RHEL AI now for OpenShift AI. So you will find quite the same accelerators, but sometimes with different timeline. So OpenShift AI in the beginning is supporting NVIDIA GPUs for workbench, model serving on the distributed workload. So starting with OpenShift AI 2.16.1, so we are really opening to other accelerators. So we had some dev preview, tech preview, and now we are introducing the support of AMD GPU on the Intel Gaudi. So AMD GPU mainly we've tested with MI210 on the MI300X on the Intel Gaudi 3. So still for inference, but also continuing the enablement for distributed workloads. For the roadmap, so we plan to complete with AMD GPU integrating the distributed workload. On introducing the new accelerator, so the IBM Spire AIU first for inference only. And also starting to work more in the second half of the year on the ARM platform with Grace, so Grace Hopper on the Grace Blackwell. So with very interesting design for distributed workload for Grace Blackwell, for example, the NVL72 with 72 GPU in a rack, with new design for the GPU interconnect with an evolution of NVLink. So very interesting, powerful design coming with Grace platform. Also providing the enablement of AWS accelerators, so for both model serving on distributed workloads. So in AWS, it's really key because most of customers in cloud are complaining of availability. They have to take reserved instance. So here we have a cost-efficient solution with a lot of availability. So it's why for us it's important, and we are hearing these requests on AWS is moving with us recently. So we are very happy to plan this Inferentia on Trainium support. And also finally, Qualcomm so Qualcomm is also available in some cloud, but under 150 watt, quite interesting choice for inference. That also with the work that has started in VLLM upstream, and again more choice. So the idea we are really extending the story of hybrid cloud where customer can pick, decide, compose based on the performance of each accelerator and choose as they choose their open source model, choosing the best accelerator for them. So that's it for me. So I will hand it over to Jeff.
Okay, very good. I know we're basically at time here. I'll try to go quickly. So this slide summarizes what's next for OpenShift AI, broken out Q1, Q2, and then second half. So as we discussed earlier, one of the focus areas is enabling end-to-end distributed InstructLab training on OpenShift AI. We're releasing this in phases and aiming to be GA with this functionality around the summit timeframe in Q2. We're also looking to enhance LM eval capabilities with the introduction of the LM eval framework. This supports many standard industry benchmarks and also enables the use of custom benchmarks for evaluating language models. I mentioned that Gen AI guardrails is a focus area. I mentioned that in an earlier slide. We're introducing the orchestrator framework as tech preview in Q1, and then we'll plan to enhance the overall guardrails capabilities throughout the year. Erwan talked about the continuing to expand accelerator support. We're also looking to build out our public API capabilities. This is something that we've heard about from field folks and customers as well. So we're going to start with workbenches in Q1 and then move to data science pipelines in Q2. And from there, I expect us to continue to build out public API capabilities. Then looking at Q2, so in addition to the end-to-end InstructLab GA target, we're looking to hit the GA milestone for multi-node, multi-GPU distributed training, including the networking considerations like RDMA support. So that's going to go hand in hand with the distributed InstructLab training. We're also planning to make Granite models available in the UI in our model catalog, which is an extension to the model registry capabilities. So users will be able to go into the UI and directly in the UI deploy the Granite models or initiate a tuning workflow. Also in the model catalog, we're looking to make the optimized Granite and third-party models available. This comes with capabilities from Neural Magic. We're also looking to hit a tech preview milestone for Feature Store, which is based on the Feast open source project, and we'll look to progress that to the GA later in the year. And then looking at some of the second half priorities. So we're looking to enhance the overall end-to-end RAG experience, also the end-to-end model tuning experience. We're looking to provide a method to take tuned models available in the registry and offer some out-of-the-box optimization options. This is, again, leveraging the capabilities in Neural Magic, so that could kick off a job, and then you would store the optimized models back in the model registry. We've talked about supporting agentic workflows. That will be a focus area throughout the year, but we're looking at second half timeframe for some of the deliverables there. And I'm going to go ahead. I know there was a question about IBM Z. We are looking to have a Z support with Spire in the October timeframe. And I'm going to go ahead and stop there. I know we're at time. So thanks, everyone.